Hello, this is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and welcome back to our weekly news roundup. Let's dive into some of the more interesting stories that crossed my desk over the past week or so. We will start with our friends in Czechia and Skoda. Now, you may or may not be familiar with Skoda. This Czech brand has been building cars for over 120 years and has been part of the Volkswagen Group since 1990. Although they started as a bargain basement brand with some, well, not really great cars to begin with, VW has managed to turn the company around with a portfolio of clever and respectable, but still affordable cars and SUVs. And what we're looking at here is the new flagship of the fleet. This is the Peaq, as in Pikes Peak, although because it's a Skoda, it's Peaq with a Q. This was inspired by the 7S concept and is the largest, most expensive Skoda ever, starting north of 50,000 euros and targeting vehicles like the Kia EV9 and the Peugeot E5008 as an electric alternative to the Skoda Kodiaq. Up front, you see what Skoda calls the tech deck face, with T-shaped LED matrix headlamps and a volcano line bumper. The new Peaq, like the recently introduced Epiq, showcases Skoda's new modern, solid design language. So not super aggressive or avant-garde, but very handsome, very well proportioned, very clean looking. Those wheels are 21 inches, which is pretty good on a vehicle of this size. You can see out back the T-shaped tail lamps and the loop motif that echoes the front end of the Peaq. It also has retractable flush door handles, which of course means currently not legal to sell in China, which contributes to a pretty respectable drag coefficient of 0.249. Powering the new Peaq, you get three different choices: a 201 horsepower or a 282 horsepower rear drive setup, or a 294 horsepower all-wheel drive setup. And you get your choice of two battery sizes as well that will take you up to about the EPA equivalent of 320 miles. It is a 400-volt architecture. It's built off of Volkswagen's MEB platform. So 10 to 80% charge takes place in about 28 minutes, but at a pretty brisk 199 kilowatts. There's a heat pump, there's one pedal driving, and there is V2L capability. So this is by no means a bargain basement EV. And all that allows the Peaq to tow about 4,400 pounds, which is certainly respectable for a vehicle in this segment. Inside, Skoda takes things a little further up market. You can get reclining, massaging seats with footrests and headrest pillows, a Sonos audio system, and a dimmable panoramic glass roof with 9 individually controllable segments. So some pretty impressive tech. In front of the driver is a 10-inch IP cluster with an available head-up display. And then in the middle of the dash is a 13.6-inch touchscreen, which is joined, fortunately, by some physical controls for the climate. There are available twin illuminated magnetic wireless charging pads. And from a tech standpoint, you can get Volkswagen Group's new Travel Assist 3.0, as well as Intelligent Park Assist. Overall, this looks to be a nice addition to the Skoda portfolio, takes them into a segment they haven't really competed in up to this point, and gives them a reasonably competitive EV family vehicle as well. So we'll see how it does when it hits the market in the next few months. If you are more of a sedan person, you're in luck because Hyundai is still building sedans. And part of what helps Hyundai is that because they have a global footprint, they have a lot of markets to sell these vehicles in, so they have some pretty good economies of scale. So what you see here labeled as the Avanti, that's the home market name for what a lot of the rest of us know as the Elantra. The new Elantra is the latest model to showcase what Hyundai calls their art of steel design language. It is now longer and wider on a longer wheelbase. And of course, from this view, you can see the boldly sculpted fenders front and rear, as well as the slim lighting elements. Up front, you get unique vertical headlamps right at the edge there, creating what now Hyundai calls their H-edge lighting signature. You have a somewhat unique DLO along the side of the vehicle. There is a little quarter window, but it's a bit of a standalone item. It's almost like the old GM Colonnade hardtops. There's a full suite of driver assist technology available, including navigation-based smart cruise control, memory reversing assist, remote smart parking assist, P-mode emergency braking, and pedal misuse safety assist systems. So plenty of tech for what you might otherwise view as a common entry-level compact sedan. The new Elantra will launch with either a 2-liter 4-cylinder or a 1.6-liter hybrid, so no turbo, not yet anyway. There is a more extreme N variant expected, and they promised something maybe even a little more aggressive than the outgoing Elantra N. The hybrid includes a couple of new interesting pieces of technology. The predictive regenerative braking system reads the road ahead and automatically adjusts the regenerative strength to keep the battery charged. In addition, there's a new stay mode in the hybrid that allows the battery to power the infotainment and climate control while parked. Like Skoda, Hyundai's also taken their interior upmarket here. You can now get a Bang & Olufsen audio system as an option, a built-in camera, dual wireless charging pads, and a 100-watt ultra-fast charging USB port for all your latest gadgets and gizmos. Hyundai describes the Elantra interior as cozy and comfortable. They're noting that the IP and the door panels are designed to cocoon the seats. There's also a column-mounted gear shift to free up space for storage between the seats. The large central touchscreen that you see, and yes, it's hard to miss, up to 14.6 inches across. And then there's a smaller forward-mounted IP cluster. This is similar to the layout of not only the recently unveiled Hyundai Ioniq 3, but also Peugeot's iCockpit setup. So in this vehicle, as in the Peugeots, you look over the top of the steering wheel to get your basic info like fuel level, speedometer, etc. There are fortunately some physical controls here as well. You can see a bank of switches and dials mounted below the touchscreen. And running the new Elantra is Hyundai's new internally developed Clios operating system and their Glio AI digital assistant. So, some automakers have decided to get out of the car market, and Hyundai is not only still in the car market, but they are making it work with the very impressive new compact sedan. We'll go from cars to cars that drive themselves. A couple of little updates here. The first is the Amazon Zoox. The original Zoox was revealed, believe it or not, almost 6 years ago, and Amazon has been piloting it and refining it ever since. They are now officially announcing plans for large-scale production later this year in California, initially building up to 100 vehicles per week. The Zoox has been updated front and rear based on, obviously, years of testing. The relocated bidirectional reflectors make it easier for pedestrians to tell which is the front and which is the rear. Not normally an issue with most vehicles, but as you can tell, the Zoox, which is nicknamed the Toaster, well, kind of looks like a toaster on wheels. So it helps to know which way it's growing and where the front is. There is upgraded two-way audio systems on the doors to allow communication between riders, support staff, and first responders as well. There are even more changes inside the Zoox. The previous Zoox interior was a little gloomy, so the new one gets a stone gray floor and aloe green seats. Among other things, in addition to making it more cheerful, it also makes it harder to leave stuff behind because you will spot your purse or handbag or wallet or phone or whatever sitting on a seat because of the lighter colors, which is nice. There's also more seat padding and bigger cup holders and more durable materials as well. Very important in robo-taxi. Now, Zoox is awaiting regulatory approval to be able to charge for rides. They haven't gotten any official green light yet, and until they do, they're limited to building 2,500 of these a year. It's currently running in Las Vegas and San Francisco with some availability in Austin and Miami, and they are testing it in 6 other cities as well. So it is competing with the new Ojai, which is the new Waymo taxi, and the Tesla Cybercab, which is now also getting a little more real. It has been about 20 months since the Cybercab was shown, and after some glitches with paperwork and trademarks, we think everything's been all straightened out. It's reportedly rolling off the line and now has an official EPA certificate of conformity, which means the federal government now recognizes this as an actual vehicle. We've already seen some of the design updates on the street, revised rear end and larger doors for easy entry and exit, but the EPA certificate now means that there are real technical specs available. It weighs a little over 3,100 pounds, making it the lightest EV for sale in the US. It's about 700 pounds lighter than a Chevy Bolt, but about 700 pounds more than a two-seater Mazda Miata. So still kind of heavy because of batteries and other hardware on board. It's a front-mounted 219 horsepower motor, so you get a pretty good power to ratio with those numbers. The GVWR, or gross vehicle weight rating, is 3,730 pounds, so 670 pounds of payload, just enough for 2 full-size human beings, maybe a couple of linebackers, plus some luggage, but not too much more than that. So obviously this is designed for a smaller crowd than the Amazon Zoox. Battery is a 48 kilowatt hour battery. Estimated range is probably just going to be about a little under 300 miles based on some of the EPA numbers, indicating what sounds like a pretty impressive miles per kilowatt hour number of 6, even better than the target number of 5.5 and better than the 5 miles per kilowatt hour that we get out of the Lucid Air. It's a 326 volt electrical architecture, so it won't be the fastest charging vehicle, but again, this is not necessarily a long distance family vacation vehicle either. Now, even though it's got the federal certificate, it still needs state-level permits for commercial autonomous network, and there are still some open questions as we wait for these things to be officially rolled out. Initially, we were told this would only charge wirelessly, but we have seen vehicles with a plug, and there is also, as yet, no wireless charging infrastructure in the U.S. at all, so that would need to be built. We were told there would be no steering wheels or pedals. We have seen vehicles thus equipped, but those may only be to get them out of the factory. Final price reportedly under $30,000, but again, not confirmed. And then finally, the launch timing is currently said to be, quote, before 2027, which gives us roughly 6 months to get this vehicle officially in the hands of owners and fleets. So stand by as Tesla releases more information. And we'll finish up with a shell game from an oil company that has decided to make a very efficient EV, which I know sounds a little counterintuitive, but it turns out Shell is working on technology for EVs as well as, plain old oil for internal combustion engines. This is the Triple 10 Challenge car. It's an EV concept that targets 3 items. The first is 10 kilometers per kilowatt hour, or about 209 mpge, 10 metric tons of lifetime CO2 emissions, about half of that of a comparable current EV, and a 10-minute charge to go from 10 to 80%, hence triple 10. The quick charge is also done at a common 175 kilowatt charger, and there's some enablers in place here. Shell notes that there are a lot of lightweight recycled components. Most importantly, there's a smaller battery that's dunked directly and cooled in dielectric Shell recharged thermal fluid. This fluid does not conduct electricity, unlike the water, ethylene, glycol-based fluid that's used in regular cooling systems, and that lets them cut about 25% of the cost out of the battery pack. Now, Shell is obviously not getting into the EV business. There are no plans to build it, although you will note it's not, obviously an existing EV with a Shell decal slapped on the side. This appears to kind of be a bespoke design vehicle, but it's designed to be a proof of concept and showcase for Shell's thermal fluid. So in the hopes that as EVs continue to grow, and they will continue to grow, Shell will get a piece of the action. That about wraps up everything for this week in Auto Perspectives. If you like what you see and hear, please subscribe and share. You can also go to AutoPerspectives.net to check out the blog and look for me on LinkedIn and Substack. Thanks very much for listening. See you back here next week.